Just sign the papers, Amelia. It's for the good of the family. My father, Richard Hayes, a man whose stern countenance could curdle milk, tapped a Mont-Blanc pen impatiently on the legal document spread across the polished mahogany table in his study. The scent of aged leather and his expensive pipe tobacco hung heavy in the air, a familiar aroma of expectation and subtle coercion. My name is Amelia Hayes, and at 28, I thought I'd finally navigated enough family dinners, holiday gatherings, and forced catch-up sessions to escape the formidable shadow of my older brother, Ethan. He was the golden boy, the one with the charisma of a seasoned politician and the business acumen of a snake oil salesman, always lauded for his grand visions, never for their execution. Yet here I was, trapped once more, being strong-armed into funding Ethan's latest, most audacious venture. Harmony Homes, a luxury eco-community development in the remote, untouched wilderness of Northern California. Your sister, Clara, has already pledged her unwavering support, darling. My mother, Eleanor, chimed in, her voice a practiced melody of sweetness and steel. She adjusted the delicate floral scarf around her neck, a gesture of effortless elegance that belied her shrewd understanding of power dynamics within our family. Clara, ever the embodiment of Hayes' perfection, nodded serenely from across the table, her blonde hair gleaming under the chandelier, her perfect smile a stark, infuriating contrast to the knot of dread twisting in my stomach. She was a professional philanthropist, always impeccably dressed, always saying the right thing, always in agreement with Ethan and our parents. It's a sound investment, Amelia, Clara added, her voice a soothing, almost hypnotic drone. And it's for the legacy of the Hayes name, a testament to our commitment to a sustainable future. I glanced at the Harmony Homes prospectus, a glossy brochure filled with idealized renderings of sleek, minimalist homes nestled amidst pristine forests, their windows reflecting sapphire skies. The projected returns on investment were astronomical, almost laughably so, promising a financial windfall that seemed too good to be true. What exactly makes it eco-friendly? I asked, pushing my thick-rimmed glasses up the bridge of my nose, a gesture of intellectual curiosity that always seemed to irritate Ethan. Are we talking genuine, self-sustaining solar panels and advanced waste management, or just a lot of trendy green paint and misleading marketing? Ethan chuckled, a condescending sound that grated on my nerves. Always the cynic little sis. It's revolutionary. Cutting edge. We're talking fully integrated, self-sustaining energy grids, vertical hydroponic farms that can feed the entire community, drone delivery systems for groceries, even a closed-loop water reclamation system, the works. He leaned forward, his eyes alight with a performative passion I knew all too well. Imagine, Amelia, a community that leaves no footprint, a harmonious blend of luxury and ecological responsibility. It's not just a development, it's a paradigm shift. My father's gaze, usually reserved for stock market tickers and legal briefs, intensified, pinning me in my seat. This, Amelia, is a chance for you to finally contribute meaningfully. To stop frittering away your considerable but, dare I say, obscure talents on those, what do you call them? Your deep-sea gadgets? My obscure research projects were my life's work. A decade spent in the solitude of university labs and repurposed garages, developing a neural interface for deep-sea exploration. A project I'd kept hidden from my family, knowing their disdain for anything that wasn't immediately profitable or publicly glamorous. Ethan pulled out a sleek tablet, scrolling through more glossy renderings and impressive-looking, but ultimately baseless financial projections. The initial investors' big names, very influential, they want to see family commitment, a significant personal stake. They want to know the Hayes family is all in. I need your $75,000, Amelia. It's the final piece to unlock the larger funding round. I thought of the countless times my own quiet achievements were dismissed, my dedicated hours in the lab overshadowed by Ethan's flamboyant schemes. The science fair awards I won in high school, ignored. The robotics club I founded in college, scoffed at. My graduation with honors, a footnote compared to Ethan's lavish post-MBA celebration, even though he'd barely scraped by. My phone vibrated discreetly in my pocket. A text from Dr. Eris Thorne, my mentor and collaborator, a man whose brilliance I admired more than anyone in my family. Don't gamble your future on their whims. Your project is too important to be derailed by familial obligation. I slipped the phone back into my pocket, the words echoing in my mind. Fine, I said, my voice barely a whisper, the word feeling alien on my tongue. The lie tasted bitter, but I couldn't tell them about Project Cerberus, about the years of quiet dedication, the breakthroughs Eris and I had made. They would never understand. I'll transfer it by midnight. A collective sigh of relief, almost imperceptible, swept through the room. My mother offered a saccharine smile. My father gave a curt nod of approval. Ethan, however, couldn't resist a small, triumphant smirk. The transaction was complete, but the betrayal was just beginning. 6 months, that's all it took. 6 short, agonizing months for Harmony Homes to collapse into a spectacular pile of lawsuits, foreclosures, and environmental violations. Ethan's eco-paradise, his paradigm shift, turned out to be a shoddy construction, riddled with code violations, built on a foundation of empty promises, and, as it turned out, a protected wetland he'd bribed local officials to overlook. The dream homes were never finished. The initial investors were suing for fraud. Now, I sat in the very same study, the air thick with recrimination, the scent of expensive pipe tobacco replaced by the sour tang of failure. This time, there was no celebratory air, no glossy brochures, just the chilling silence of accusation. My parents sat on the antique sofa, rigid and pale. Clara sat beside them, dabbing her eyes with a lace handkerchief. Ethan paced behind the couch, his face a mask of manufactured indignation, his golden boy facade cracked and crumbling. She pressured me into a rushed launch, Ethan declared, gesturing wildly towards me, his voice strained with false grievance. I told her, Amelia, we need more time for due diligence, for permits, for navigating the local bureaucracy. But she was insistent on seeing immediate returns. Her constant demands for financial reports pushed us to cut corners. I almost laughed, a hollow, bitter sound that caught in my throat. I sent you 3 emails, Ethan. 3 emails in 6 months, asking for a single, basic financial report. A breakdown of expenses, a list of contractors, anything resembling accountability. See, Ethan threw his hands up in exasperation, turning to our parents for validation. Always with the numbers. She stifled the creative process with her constant pressure, her skepticism. It was a project of vision, not spreadsheets. My mother, Eleanor, began to whimper, dabbing at her eyes with the handkerchief. Amelia, darling, how could you be so demanding? Your brother was under immense stress. He was trying to build something wonderful for us all. My father, Richard, stood up, his face a thundercloud. He pointed a trembling finger at me. Your incessant questioning, Amelia, your lack of faith, it undermined his confidence. This failure, this entire fiasco, is all on you. On me? I stood up, my voice trembling with a mixture of disbelief and simmering rage, a stark contrast to my usual calm demeanor. On me, he defrauded investors, cut corners so egregiously that the whole community is condemned, and wasted every single penny. My $75,000, my entire life savings, gone, and for what? A glorified real estate scam, built on lies and broken promises. Ethan slumped dramatically into an armchair, covering his face with his hands. I trusted you, Amelia. I thought you believed in me. I thought you would support me. But you just wanted me to fail, didn't you? To prove you were smarter, more responsible. My mother sniffled theatrically, her voice thick with self-pity. Your poor brother's dreams are shattered, his reputation ruined, and all you can think about is money, Amelia. What kind of sister are you? My father's booming voice cut through the room, a sound that always signaled the end of any debate. Get out, Amelia, until you can accept responsibility for the damage you've caused this family. For the humiliation you've brought upon us, you're not welcome here. I looked at Clara, hoping for a flicker of understanding, a hint of genuine empathy, but her face was a mask of placid judgment, her eyes carefully avoiding mine. She was the picture of a supportive, distressed sister, completely unburdened by the truth. Responsibility, I repeated, the word tasting like ash in my mouth. Let's talk about responsibility. Let's talk about the offshore accounts, Ethan, the inflated supplier invoices, the consulting fees paid to ghost companies in the Caymans. It's all in the public records from the bankruptcy filing. Every single detail. I pulled every shred of financial data I could find. Ethan sprang up, his face reddening with a mix of fury and panic. That was confidential, corporate information. You had no right to dig through that. It was my money, Ethan, I retorted, my voice rising in volume. And my future you gambled away with your pathetic schemes and your blatant fraud. My father lunged forward, grabbing my arm, his grip surprisingly strong. I said, "Get out. You've done enough damage. You've brought enough shame upon us." I wrenched my arm away, pulling free from his grasp. "You're right, I'm done. Done being the family's scapegoat. Done being blamed for your golden boy's colossal failures. Done with all of you." I walked to the study door, my hand on the cold brass knob, then turned back, my gaze fixed on Ethan. "Ethan, tell them about the luxury finishes that were actually cheap drywall and particle board. Tell them about the state-of-the-art water filtration system that was just a garden hose connected to a muddy creek. Tell them anything true for once in your life." He said nothing, his face pale, his eyes darting between me and our parents, desperate for a cue and instruction. Of course he said nothing. He never did. The cool, unforgiving night air was a shock after the stifling, accusatory tension of my parents' home. The streetlights cast long, distorted shadows, mirroring the contorted reality of my family. My cousin Lily, my only true confidant among the Hayes extended clan, found me by my old, beat-up sedan. Her arms wrapped around me in a tight, comforting hug, a rare moment of genuine warmth in my tumultuous life. "They're awful, Amelia. They truly are. You deserve so much better. This isn't your fault, any of it." I hugged her back, tears finally blurring my vision, a luxury I rarely afforded myself. "Thanks, Lily," I whispered, pulling away. "But I need to go. I can't be here right now." I drove, aimlessly at first, then instinctively, towards the only place I felt truly at home. My small, unassuming workshop tucked away in a quiet industrial park on the outskirts of the city. It was a nondescript building, a stark contrast to the Hayes family mansion, but inside, it was my sanctuary. The familiar scent of ozone and circuitry was a profound comfort, replacing the lingering stench of betrayal. I flicked on the lights, illuminating a space filled with humming servers, complex electronic components, and the skeletal frames of intricate prototypes. I powered up my workstation. On the main monitor, a single, encrypted folder dominated the desktop: Project Cerberus. Inside lay a decade of my life: intricate schematics for neural bypass interfaces, complex algorithms for cognitive data processing, and hundreds of hours of meticulously gathered simulation data. This was my true legacy, not some fraudulent eco-community. Almost immediately, Dr. Eris Thorne's face appeared on my monitor, a video call. Eris was a man of quiet brilliance, his mind a labyrinth of scientific knowledge, his demeanor perpetually calm. He was more than a mentor, he was a co-conspirator in the grandest sense of the word. "I heard," he said simply, his voice a low, steady rumble. "Ethan's project is officially history, filed for bankruptcy this morning. The SEC is already circling." "Sullivan, I started, my voice still raw. He held up a hand, stopping me. "Save it, Amelia. What's done is done. You did what you thought you had to. The question now is, are you ready to stop playing their games? Are you ready to finally build something real? Something that matters, not just to a select few, but to humanity." I looked at my phone, the screen still flooded with angry, self-righteous messages from family members, their condemnations echoing in my ears. Ethan had likely spun his version of events by now, painting me as the cold-hearted saboteur, the ungrateful sister. In their eyes, I was the villain of this story. Fine. If they wanted a villain, I would give them one. But my villainy would be in pursuit of a greater good. "I'm ready, Eris," I told him, my resolve hardening with each word. "Let's build something truly transformative. Something they can't ignore, can't diminish, can't steal." He smiled, a rare, almost imperceptible upturn of his lips, a genuine expression of warmth that made his stern features soften. "Good, because tomorrow we begin the real tests, the ones that matter." He ended the call, leaving me alone in the humming solitude of my lab. I started typing, my fingers flying across the keyboard, lines of code flowing from my fingertips like a torrent. They thought I was financially irresponsible. They had no idea I was building humanity's key to the ocean's greatest mysteries, a project that would make their petty squabbles seem utterly insignificant. 10 years, a decade had passed since that night. 10 years since I first met Dr. Eris Thorne at a symposium on neuroengineering, a chance encounter that changed the trajectory of my life. Now, standing beside him in the pressurized observation room of our state-of-the-art deep-sea research vessel, the Triton's Hope, I watched the prototype of Project Cerberus being meticulously lowered into the murky, enigmatic depths of the Pacific. The giant robotic arm articulated with smooth precision, guiding the sleek, bioluminescent device through the moon pool, its powerful lights cutting through the inky blackness. "Telemetry looks good, Dr. Hayes," a voice crackled over the intercom, the voice of Ensign Rodriguez, our lead technician. "Pressure integrity nominal, all systems green for deployment." Cerberus wasn't a submersible in the traditional sense. It was a bioluminescent, remotely operated neural interface, designed to allow human consciousness to directly experience the ocean's abyss, bypassing the limitations of physical presence. It was a bridge between mind and machine, between human perception and the unexplored frontiers of our planet. The test subject, Captain David Miller, a retired marine biologist whose illustrious career had been tragically cut short after losing both his legs in a diving accident, sat patiently in the specialized control chair. His eyes, though physically closed, were about to open onto a world few had ever seen. "David," I spoke into the microphone, my voice betraying a hint of the excitement bubbling beneath my calm exterior. "Focus on the coordinates we discussed. Visualize the Mariana Trench, the Challenger Deep. Let your mind guide Cerberus." On the main monitor, a vibrant, ethereal image began to coalesce. The deep, silent expanse of the trench, a world of crushing pressure and eternal darkness, yet teeming with life never before seen by human eyes. David's eyes, closed in profound concentration, twitched beneath his eyelids. His breathing was deep measured, a moment of silence, then a gasp. "I'm there," he whispered, his voice filled with an almost childlike awe. "It's indescribable. I can feel the pressure, the currents, the bioluminescent organisms passing by. It's like I'm truly swimming." Dr. Thorne, usually stoic, leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the rapidly scrolling data streams. "He's identifying new species, Amelia," he murmured, his voice laced with uncharacteristic wonder. "His cognitive processing of sensory data is flawless. We're getting anatomical details, behavioral patterns. It's beyond anything we predicted." David laughed, a genuine, joyful sound that brought tears to my eyes. "This is more than just seeing, Amelia, it's being there. You've given me back my purpose. You've given me back the ocean." He started navigating, his thoughts guiding Cerberus with a fluid grace through unseen canyons, past glowing, alien creatures, and across vast, silent plains. I squeezed his shoulder, a silent promise. "The world needs to see this, Eris." He nodded, his gaze distant, already contemplating the next steps. "Indeed, it's time to show Admiral Evelyn Vance what we've achieved. And perhaps it's time to stop hiding." Admiral Evelyn Vance arrived precisely on schedule, her sleek, unmarked black car pulling up to our discreet, heavily guarded facility on the coast. A legend in naval exploration and deep-sea defense strategy, she was known for her unwavering pragmatism, her unyielding demands for efficiency, and her utter disdain for anything less than groundbreaking innovation. She was a woman who didn't mince words, and her reputation preceded her. "This better be more than just a fancy VR simulation, Dr. Hayes," she stated, her voice clipped and authoritative as she stepped into the observation room. Her steely blue eyes swept over the equipment, missing nothing. "My time is valuable. I'm missing a crucial strategic meeting for this. Captain Miller, if you would," I gestured to David, who sat calmly in the control chair, connected to the Cerberus interface. He offered a small, knowing smile. For the next 30 minutes, Captain Miller guided the Cerberus prototype through a series of simulated deep-sea missions, identifying new thermal vents, mapping uncharted terrain, even performing delicate manipulations of submerged artifacts through the thought-controlled robotic arm. He described the unique bioluminescent patterns of newly discovered species, pinpointed geological anomalies, and demonstrated a level of control and sensory input that was simply astounding. Admiral Vance's rigid composure slowly softened. Her expression shifted from skepticism to grudging respect, then to outright fascination. "The clarity of the neural feedback, it's incredible," she murmured, leaning closer to the monitor. How did you solve the quantum entanglement stability issues for long-range data transfer? It's been a bottleneck for decades. That would be Dr. Hayes's core innovation, Admiral, Dr. Thorne explained, a rare note of pride in his voice. Her work on multidimensional neural mapping allowed us to overcome the signal degradation and establish a truly robust cognitive link. It's a fundamental breakthrough in neurorobotics. Admiral Vance turned to me, her sharp eyes assessing every detail of my posture, my expression, my quiet confidence. The same Amelia Hayes whose brother's eco-community venture collapsed last year? She stated, not asked, a casual observation that hit like a physical blow. My stomach clenched, a familiar knot of apprehension forming. You know about that? I asked, my voice guarded. I make it my business to know about the people I'm investing in, Dr. Hayes, she said, her lips curving into a faint, almost imperceptible smile. Including their personal histories. Your family's rather public attempts to distance themselves from your brother's spectacular failure were quite theatrical, if I may say so, and quite telling. She paused, then added, clever, keeping your true work under wraps. Family entanglements can complicate high-stakes funding. Are you interested in the technology, Admiral, or my family's perceived deficiencies? I asked sharply, my patience wearing thin. Admiral Vance's smile broadened slightly. $150, Dr. Hayes, for exclusive rights to project Cerberus for the next 5 years, with an option to extend for an additional 5. That's a significant investment, and it comes with the full backing of the U.S. Navy. Dr. Thorne frowned. That undervalues our potential, Admiral. This technology has implications far beyond military applications. It's a tool for pure scientific exploration, for understanding our own planet. It's a significant investment, Dr. Thorne, she reiterated, her gaze fixed on me. Your brother's venture lost everything. This will secure your legacy. Think about it. Your future, your reputation, everything you've built. I looked at Captain Miller, who was still exploring the simulated abyss, a profound sense of peace and renewed purpose on his face. This wasn't about money or reputation. It was about the potential to change lives, to unlock mysteries, to push the boundaries of human knowledge. Admiral, I began, my voice steady, we will accept $200 for exclusive rights, but with one non-negotiable condition. A substantial portion of the research and development funding, a minimum of 25%, must be explicitly allocated to making this technology accessible for medical and pure scientific research applications immediately after military integration. We will not allow Cerberus to be solely a weapon or a tool of espionage. Its primary purpose must remain the advancement of human understanding and well-being. Admiral Vance's eyes narrowed, weighing my words. Then a slow, decisive nod. Done, she said, extending her hand. Welcome to the front lines, Dr. Hayes, and perhaps keep this from your family for a while longer. Some truths are better left unsaid for now. The article dropped exactly 1 week later. A seismic event that shook the foundations of my carefully constructed anonymity. It was splashed across the front pages of every major science and technology publication, an unprecedented sensation that captured global attention. The headline blared, "The Silent Pioneer. How Amelia Hayes forged a $2 empire beneath the waves, unseen by her own family." Santiago, the investigative journalist whom Dr. Eris Thorne had carefully chosen, didn't hold back. He had been given full access to our lab, our data, and our story, and he meticulously pieced together the narrative. The piece detailed everything: the decade of secret research, the groundbreaking trials with Captain Miller, the revolutionary implications of Cerberus, and the unprecedented naval contract. But Santiago also, with a surgical precision that bordered on brutal, delved into the deep-seated family drama. Ethan's spectacular failure, my forced investment in Harmony Homes, and my family's subsequent public disavowal of me, it was all laid bare for the world to see. My phone exploded within minutes of the article's release. First, a text from Lily, all caps. "Oh my God, AMLA, you finally did it, I knew it." Then, a flurry of messages from Ethan's former business partners, offering apologies, expressing regret, and subtly hinting at future collaboration. Dr. Thorne called, his voice surprisingly calm amidst the digital chaos. "The world is buzzing, Amelia. Tech Twitter is going wild. Your brother's trending, but not in a way he'll appreciate. The term fraternal fraudster is gaining traction. I was about to reply when my father's name, Richard Hayes, appeared on my screen. For the first time in nearly a year, he was calling me directly. "Don't answer," Dr. Thorne advised, his voice still low, but with a hint of amusement. "Let them stew." But I answered. Curiosity, or perhaps a morbid fascination, compelled me. "What have you done?" My father's voice was a guttural roar, raw with fury and humiliation. "Your mother's in hysterics. Ethan's consulting contracts are being canceled left and right. Reporters are swarming our house, ringing the doorbell, calling every 15 minutes. Funny," I cut him off, my voice remarkably steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. "Now you know how it feels, Dad. To have your reputation, your sense of dignity, completely destroyed by family. This is different, we're your parents," he thundered. "Who disowned me, who publicly blamed me for Ethan's fraud, who consistently, deliberately erased me from family photos and narratives. We need to meet face to face, Amelia." "Immediately," he demanded, his tone shifting from outrage to something bordering on desperation. I checked my email. Speaking invitations from MIT and Stanford, interview requests from Forbes and the New York Times, investment offers from venture capitalists I'd only ever read about in business journals. My calendar, once filled with lab schedules and research deadlines, was now a whirlwind of high-profile commitments. "Sorry, Dad," I said, a faint smile touching my lips. "I'm a bit busy integrating Project Cerberus with the U.S. Navy. You know, the project I've been building for a decade while you were busy celebrating Ethan's vision and his resilience." He switched tactics, his voice softening, attempting a paternal charm that felt hollow. "Sweetheart, we didn't know, if you just told us." "Like you would have believed me," I interrupted, a sharp edge in my voice. "Like you believed me when I warned you about Ethan's spending. Or would you have immediately handed my blueprints to Ethan, hoping he could somehow steal credit, leverage it for his next get-rich-quick scheme?" My mother's voice, strained and tearful, joined in, a cacophony of manufactured distress. "We're still your family, Amelia. You can't just—" Actually, I can," I countered, checking the real-time news feed on my secondary monitor. Cerberus just secured a major defense contract, effectively becoming the cornerstone of next-generation deep-sea exploration and military intelligence for the foreseeable future. The valuation just tripled. I hung up the phone as Santiago's call came through. "Dr. Hayes," Santiago said, his voice buzzing with excitement, "your story has gone viral. They're calling you the quiet genius and the unseen force behind the next frontier of exploration. The public sentiment is overwhelmingly in your favor. Your family, on the other hand." He trailed off, unnecessary to elaborate. The setting was familiar, the grand dining room in my parents' sprawling estate, but the atmosphere was anything but. The antique chandelier cast a warm, deceptive glow over the polished table, laden with untouched silver and porcelain. My mother, Eleanor, her perfectly applied makeup unable to conceal the puffiness around her eyes, dabbed at them repeatedly with a lace handkerchief. My father, Richard, sat rigidly at the head of the table, his hands gripping his crystal water glass so tightly his knuckles were white. Ethan stared at his plate, uncharacteristically silent, his usual swagger replaced by a sickly pallor. Clara sat beside him, her serene facade finally cracked, her eyes darting nervously between me and her parents. "All right, Amelia," my father began, his voice strained, almost hoarse. "You wanted this meeting, we're all here, talk." I took a slow, deliberate sip of water, allowing the silence to stretch, to amplify the tension. "Actually, Dad," I corrected him, setting my glass down with a soft click. "You summoned me, repeatedly. I'm merely here out of a morbid curiosity to observe the consequences of your collective actions." "Consequences?" My mother's voice rose to a near shriek, her composure finally shattering. "Our family name is being dragged through the mud. Ethan's career is ruined. Our social standing is plummeting, and you act so indifferent, so cold. Funny how the family name matters to you now," I responded, my voice calm, almost detached. "Where was this profound concern when you were publicly disowning me? When you were calling me financially reckless and irresponsible? When you were erasing me from family photos and rewriting our shared history?" Ethan finally looked up, his eyes bloodshot, filled with a mixture of resentment and something akin to fear. "I tried to apologize, Amelia. I sent you an email. I genuinely did. After my company's valuation hit the news, I pulled out my phone, navigating to my inbox. Want to see the exact timestamp, Ethan? Sent minutes after your last few consulting engagements got canceled. A little too convenient, don't you think? That's not fair, my mother interjected, her voice thin. Your brother is trying to reconcile, to make things right. Like he tried to make things right with the $75,000 he embezzled from me. I countered, my gaze unwavering. Borrowed, Ethan corrected weakly, his voice barely a whisper. For business development. For luxury vacations, for a new sports car, for a facade of a company that was nothing but smoke and mirrors. I listed, each word a precise, damning accusation. For team-building exercises that involved high-stakes gambling, for client dinners that were just lavish parties. It's all there, Ethan, every single fraudulent transaction. Your business development cost more than most people's yearly salaries. My father slammed his hand on the table, the crystal clinking sharply. Enough, we are here to mend fences, to be a family again, to put this behind us. Mend what exactly? I leaned forward, my gaze sweeping over each of them. Your shattered reputations, your plummeting social standing, Ethan's non-existent career. Tell me, what exactly do you want to fix? Lily, who I had subtly invited to the meeting and was discreetly recording everything on her phone, spoke up, her voice clear and cutting through the tension. Maybe start with an actual, genuine apology for, the decade of neglect, the constant belittling, and the months of public shaming you put Amelia through. We were hurt, my mother wailed, tears streaming down her face. We thought you had betrayed your brother's trust. We were trying to protect him. So you destroyed mine, I stated, my voice devoid of emotion. You know the fundamental difference between Ethan's venture and Project Cerberus. His was built on a house of cards, on hype, and on other people's money. Mine was built on years of solitary, grueling work, on genuine innovation, on a profound passion you never bothered to acknowledge, let alone understand. If you just told us, my father began, his voice losing its authoritative edge, replaced by a desperate plea. If you had just confided in us, Amelia, we would have supported you. Would you, I cut him off, a ghost of a bitter smile playing on my lips, would you have believed me? Or would you have immediately handed my blueprints to Ethan, hoping he could somehow steal credit, leverage it for his next empty scheme? You did it to me my entire life. Remember my marine biology scholarship, the one I earned at 16? The one you dismissed as a hobby because Ethan had a school play that night? It could have paid for my entire college education. But you didn't even ask. You didn't even care. My mother dissolved into fresh sobs. We're trying to understand, Amelia. We really are. No, I countered, my voice firm. You're trying to control the narrative again. You're trying to regain control. But this time, it's not working, is it? My father switched tactics again, his voice softening, an almost pitiful attempt at a charming offer. What do you want from us, Amelia? Money, recognition. We can have a grand, public celebration for your success. A gala, a family award. I laughed, a sharp, humorless sound that echoed in the cavernous dining room. Now you want to celebrate. After Santiago's article forced you to admit I exist. After the naval contract made it impossible to ignore me. The article was a vicious attack. Ethan burst out, finally finding his voice, raw with outrage. You humiliated us. You destroyed our family's good name. The article was the truth, Ethan. I corrected him, my gaze unwavering. Every single word, including the bank statements showing exactly where my money went and where yours went. What do you want from us? My mother whispered again, her voice barely audible, defeated. Nothing. I picked up my clutch bag, the smooth leather cool against my fingers. That's the beauty of it. I don't need your approval anymore. I don't need your recognition. I built something that's expanding humanity's understanding of our planet. Something that will change millions of lives, while you were busy protecting Ethan's fragile ego and your own distorted perception of family legacy. Please, my father stood, his face a mask of desperation, reaching a hand out to me. We can fix this as a family. We'll issue a public statement. We'll show our support. We'll rewrite the narrative. Too late, I said, turning to leave. The official naval integration of Project Cerberus goes live tomorrow. Our technology is now a global asset, valued at over $2 billion, and not one of you can claim any part of that success. Not a single, solitary penny. The view from my new office on the top floor of the Cerberus Global headquarters was breathtaking. The city's skyline stretched out before me, a glittering expanse of steel and glass, dominated in the foreground by our own sleek, futuristic building. Below, a teeming crowd gathered for the building's official opening ceremony, a buzzing hive of anticipation. Somewhere in that vast crowd, I knew, my family lingered, uninvited, yet unable to resist the magnetic pull of my success. "Ready, Amelia?" Dr. Thorne asked from the doorway, his silhouette framed against the bright sunlight. He was a man of few words, but his quiet pride was palpable. I adjusted the lapels of my impeccably tailored blazer. "Almost," I replied, a sense of calm washing over me. "Your brother's trying to get past security again," he reported, a hint of dry amusement in his voice. "Says he has a joint venture proposal for global deep-sea sustainable living initiatives." "Of course he does," I murmured, suppressing a sigh. I checked my phone. Another missed call from my mother, followed by a frantic text from my father about family healing and forgiveness. Lily burst into the office, her face alight with excitement. "You need to see this, Amelia. Ethan's posting live from outside." She held up her phone, showing his Instagram story. He was standing in front of our building, a forced, proud grin on his face, waving theatrically. So incredibly proud of my sister's vision. Family above all else. Hayes' legacy lives on. Innovation Nation #TechFamily. "Unbelievable," Lily muttered, shaking her head. "No," I corrected her, a faint smile playing on my lips. "Predictable. Utterly predictable." Captain Miller, now a key figure in our research team, wheeled into my office, his eyes bright with excitement. "The auditorium's full, Amelia. Every major tech publication, every science journal, every news outlet is here. Even the Admiral arrived early." I took one last look at my phone. Ethan was still performing for his audience, attempting to rewrite history again, desperate to attach himself to my triumph. My mother had joined in, sharing old, meticulously curated photos from my childhood, captioning them with saccharine phrases like, "Always knew she was special," and "A mother's pride." My father's professional network was suddenly full of posts about the importance of supporting innovative daughters and nurturing family talent. "They never learn, do they?" Dr. Thorne observed, watching my family's digital antics unfold. "They can't," I replied, pocketing my phone, "because they still think this is about them." The auditorium fell silent as I took the stage, the bright lights momentarily blinding. A hush fell over the thousands of eager faces in the audience, a sea of journalists, scientists, engineers, and visionaries. "Many of you expect me to speak of triumph today," I began, my voice clear and resonating, filling the vast space. "Of overcoming personal betrayals, of proving doubters wrong, of the sweet taste of revenge." That narrative, in its simplified form, has already been written, splashed across headlines, and dissected on social media. I paused, my gaze sweeping over the eager faces, my eyes lingering for a moment on the back row, where I knew some of my family might be, if security had relented. "Instead," I continued, "I want to talk about Captain David Miller." I gestured to David, who sat in the front row, a smile of profound peace on his face, about the countless researchers, innovators, and dreamers whose voices are often unheard, whose contributions are unseen. Because while my family was busy orchestrating their public image, busy managing their narratives of resilience and legacy, these individuals, people like David, were showing me what true courage, true dedication, and true strength look like. I gestured again to David, who, with a subtle, almost imperceptible shift of thought, raised his hand, connected to a miniaturized Cerberus neural interface. A collective gasp rippled through the audience, a ripple of awe. "This technology," I continued, "this revolution in human exploration, it wasn't built on retribution. It was built on curiosity, on shared purpose, on a relentless pursuit of knowledge that my family never understood. It was built on the profound difference between seeking superficial validation and creating tangible, life-changing value." Santiago, in the press section, typed furiously, his fingers a blur across his keyboard. "So yes," I concluded, my voice resonating with quiet conviction, I allowed them to believe I had failed. I let them craft their narratives and deliver their empty speeches. Because while they were consumed by their image, by their self-serving drama, we were here, in the quiet solitude of our labs, delving into the deepest, most mysterious parts of our world, and in doing so, unlocking the deepest, most profound parts of ourselves. Success isn't about proving people wrong. I stated, my gaze sweeping across the hopeful faces in the audience. It's about fulfilling your own potential, about contributing to something larger than yourself. And sometimes, the people who try to dismiss you, who try to erase you, who try to bury your truth, simply end up diminishing their own significance, leaving them far behind, staring up at a horizon they can no longer reach.